Hello and welcome to the Novatime University Learning Library. Today we will be reviewing the Employee Web Services dashboard for the Web Punch style employee. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and start off by going to the left side of the screen over here and clicking on what's called the new hamburger icon. When you click on this hamburger icon, you're going to see that the windows um, and menus that I have access to are going to show up in here. So if I have access to attendance and scheduler, then I'll still see them here. Normally, they're outside of the hamburger icon, right here underneath Novatime Anywhere. They've been moved and they're now inside the hamburger icon for keeping things clean. So if you click it with your mouse, you'll see that it opens and closes. And down here at the bottom, you'll notice that the client's ID has been moved. It used to be on the very top right up here, up on the right, but now it's been also compressed and moved inside to the hamburger icon menu, and it's down here. So ever need to call into support, this is where the client's ID is going to be located for your database. So what we have here is right over here is the home icon. This is a picture of a house. This is the new home button. So if you ever leave this page to go to the attendant or the scheduler, access any of the submenus in there, you just simply hit the home button. It'll take you right back there. Now moving right along, we're going to see here that we have the current date, time, the employee's name, along with their employee ID. And then you'll see if they have an employee picture here, you're going to see it show up in this little circle area right up here. And then also you'll notice there's a down arrow. In this down arrow, if the person is a supervisor or administrator, they're going to see my team. If they're not, then they won't see it. Uh, right here, you're going to see if they have the profile page. This is their profile page. It's not new. It's already been there. It's just this is where it's been compressed inside of. And then we have the preferences page as well. So let's just click on the preferences page. So the preferences page is where they normally would go to set up their dashboard setup. But in this scenario, this employee doesn't have access to change the dashboard in any way. When an employee does have access to change it, they'll have the ability to click on some checkboxes that'll be right here on the right. And it'll allow them to pick and choose which ones they want to see when they log into their new landing page. Over here, they'll have access to change the refresh rate, meaning the refresh on how soon the data is updated. And here, there's something called icon view. I'll go ahead and show you icon view in just a little bit. For now, this employee is a perfect example of one that wouldn't have access to modify or change their dashboard. Once they're done and make any changes they need, they would simply click the Save button and then click the Home button to go back. Now moving right along, what we have here is we're going to have the messages icon. This is still the pre-existing one that used to be there. It was a smaller envelope. It's just a lot more visually enhanced now. So let's click it so you can see what's inside. So once you're in there, you'll see that I have pending schedule requests that have been approved or declined. Same notes as before. This page isn't new. Again, it's just compressed into a new icon shown up here, and it also shows you how many are inside there waiting to be viewed. These are unread messages. This still pertains to online help, so if you click it, it'll come up and show you the online help that's there for the employees, the supervisors, and administrators. In here they have the many tools to choose from. One of the most popular categories is the video learning library. Being that they're an employee, they can click on the employee user guides and they can go through here and watch these short videos on how to do many things in the employee web services. And the last but not least is over here is the logout icon. Instead of saying logout, it's now the symbol of a power button. So you just click that, or the employee can click that, and it'll log them out. Okay. Something else we're going to talk about now is something new. It's called tabs. Every time a menu is opened, whether it be from here in the drop down clicking preferences, or maybe over here on the left you click on one of these menus here, say for example request page, a different tab opens. Multiple tabs will start accumulating, being from the most recent on the left and bumping over to the right. So two things can happen here. One is you can click on the red X, it'll close out the tab, or you can click on where it says toggle this pin. So toggle pin status. What that means is if you click that, it'll make a favorite out of this. It'll pin this tab. So the next time you log out and then log back in, this tab will still be here. It's just there for quicker access so you don't have to go through the menus and go and find scheduler, then request, and so on. Now it's just here for convenience. Something else I want to mention while we're talking about tabs is I'm going to open timesheet just to have it open so we have another tab. And something else that pops up once there's multiple tabs or even any tab is open is you're going to see that you have the option to click here, and you can switch between the different tabs also by clicking here as well. So there's many ways, whichever is easier for the employee, it's all there for access and ease of access for them as well. Okay, let's close these out. Now, aside from clicking the home button, if you just close out all the tabs, it's still going to take you back to the main menu as well, the main Employee Web Services dashboard. So let's go ahead and jump into some of these different cards. These are called cards. Right now on the screen, there's 6 of them. These are cards, also known as gadgets. So I'll start from the left side, and we'll just kind of work our way along and go through and talk a little bit about each one. So the first one is going to be the clock gadget. This gadget's going to be, it's very self-explanatory. You're going to see there's a clock, you're going to have the date, the time zone, you're going to have the punch and transfer. Now remember, the punch and transfer, these will only show up for employees that are supposed to have them. So if they log into their Employee Web Services and they can see punch and transfer, then they're still going to see that. If they don't see that now, then they're not going to see it later. Meaning when they log into their new dashboard, if they didn't have punch and transfer, they're not going to have it then. Something else about Clock Gadget is you're going to notice that it also has the last clock in and the last clock out time. It's going to record that information here. And then you're also going to see there's the pay code, the in-out time down below, under which column the hours fall under, whether it's regular or overtime. And something else to mention is that the overtime levels that are shown there, whichever they're at set to in your database, whether they say overtime spelled out or just OT1 or OT2 like in my database, it's going to show it there. Okay. Now, something else, let's jump into timesheet. So timesheet, you're going to notice that it says timesheet here, yes, but there's also a little arrow pointing to the right. So aside from seeing a snapshot view of that employee's timesheet, where they can click on current pay period, last pay period, next pay period, and user defined pay period, they can still choose between the pay periods using the left and right here, as well as the calendar box here. Down here, they'll see exceptions. Further down, they'll see the timesheet snapshot view here, along with the summary of hours and the dates that they're covering. But if they do want to see the entire timesheet, that's still fine. This is just an easy way to see all the information at one time without having to leave this page. So let's click on the arrow pointing to the right, and let's go to the timesheet. Now, a couple things happen. When I click that, it takes me to the timesheet, and it also opens up a tab, the timesheet tab. Okay, so you'll notice also they still have their punch and transfer. They're still going to have their timesheet view. And if it's an hourly timesheet, you'll still have the hourly timesheet. That's not going to change. The only thing that's different is the main dashboard page. It's just a navigation page, the shortcuts. Tons and tons of shortcuts. Okay, so let's close this out. Moving right along. Next one is approach hours. If you take a look at this, you're going to notice 3 important things here. One of them is mealtime. As long as it's set up in your database, to have this set up is located under your shift, you can set it to where the system will automatically let the employee know how close they are to hitting their meal time, meaning how close they are to getting to a meal premium. It'll tell the employee that On the right hand side, it'll say punch out before, and in my example, it has 2 p.m. So this employee, Dana Jones, needs to be punched out before 2 p.m. to avoid a meal premium. Okay? Now, what you have down below is going to be scheduled work hours. If I had a schedule in place, it would automatically show the 8 hours and then how many hours out of that I'm getting up to my total tally. Okay? So it's a running clock. It's an elapsed time. So as the time goes on, it's going to keep going through based on the initial punch from the first punch of that employee's day. Same with the weekly overtime. At this point in time, this employee has 2.49 hours out of 40 hours for the week. So it's going to let the employee know that based on weekly overtime, there's 40 hours in a week, and if they're going to how close they are to getting to that 40 hours is going to show them here. So they can either avoid overtime or know until they get into their overtime. All right, moving right along, let's go and jump down to leave management. So the leave management, you're still going to notice that the arrow to the right is still there. So the employee can use the gadget itself to make the request, send reminders, also view the most recent activity from their accrual history, along with any kind of request statuses that are shown below. So if I click on the arrow to the right, it's going to take me to that employee's request page. If they use templates or they use calendar driven, whichever one they use is what they're going to continue to see. Nothing's going to change on that aspect. The gadget itself is just a shortcut to take them to this page as well as an overview or snapshot of what they're currently used to seeing. Okay, so let's close that tab. Some cool buttons we're going to have here is the send reminder button. The send reminder will allow the employee to send a reminder to the supervisor and let them know that they have outstanding requests that are pending, and just a reminder to let the supervisor know to go ahead and approve those requests. Another one we have is the request leave button. So instead of going to the request page, they can click on request leave and this little window will pop up. This window is very similar to the way the Employee Web Services mobile version looks like. If you're using the mobile app, it looks very similar to this. It'll look like a friendly screen to you. So what you'll have is the request title, the pay code to select from. If it's multiple days you're requesting, maybe you're requesting more than one day at a time, you can put a from and to date, the total hours, and then a message to the supervisor if they want to put one in there. Okay? So moving right along, you're going to notice that the next gadget is going to be called schedule. The schedule is going to have the same useful information as from the employee's schedule, but right here at their fingertips, right here on the main page for them on the Employee Web Services dashboard. You'll see the from and to dates for the schedule, the different employee schedules that are in here. You'll see this employee has a schedule of 9 to 6 p.m. on October 2nd, and then you'll see their other schedule. The other schedule is a flexible schedule. So these flexible schedules show a 12 to 12 because they have the schedule in the system showing that they're going to be there, but the schedule may vary, and for different varied reasons. The employee has a flexible schedule, and on this day they have a sick leave that they requested off. Okay? Down here it'll have a summary of hours based on their schedule as well. So if the employee wants to see the schedule weekly or daily, the option is there for them, as well as the same shortcut that'll take them to their schedule page. They just click on that little button right there and it'll take them right over to their schedule page. It'll open a new tab and it'll load up the schedule page, which is already in the system for them. All right, let's go and close that out. Last but not least, let's jump over to the messages gadget. The messages gadget is the same exact information you're going to find right up here on the top where it says there are 2 messages pending to be read. It's right here as well. So they can either click on the up here where it says 2 messages, or they can use their message gadget that is here set up for them. So you can see, without even opening it, you can see what had happened here. There was 2 schedule requests that went through, the dates, the times. You can click it. It'll take you to the original messages page, and you'll see here that it was approved. There was something else removed that day. It'll show information for the employee that they should have access to based on their request that they requested off. And once I'm done here, let's go ahead and go back to the home page. All right, next thing I'm going to talk about is the icon view. What you're seeing right now is going to be the non-icon view. We have another view that helps compress some of these different gadgets and allows it for a much more compressed look, a little bit cleaner. Depends on how you want it set up for the employee, because all this information is set up from the employee side or the administrator side. The administrators have access to change and decide which gadgets the employee can see and whether they're going to be an icon view or non-icon view. So let's jump into the employee preferences page and let's go ahead and turn icon view on. Let's hit save. Let's close this tab. So now, instead of the gadgets being like the one on the left over here, which by the way will never go into icon view, I just want to let you know that. Um, all the icon views will still show very important information and useful information. You'll see the timesheet is still showing timesheets open, what day and from and to, approach hours is still showing the meal time and how much counts is left out of the 5 hours that's set in the system. There's one declined leave management. It's going to show the most recent one, most recent activity. Leave management will show that there's one declined request being the most recent activity. The schedule, today's schedule is a flexible schedule, so it's going to show the one right here. And last but not least, they're going to see that there's still one pending message to be read. Okay. Now, aside from the views here, you can also grab these icons and drag them and move them around. Okay. And in order to go to that location, you notice that the arrows aren't here. You just simply click on the picture and it'll take you there. Same thing. Different location, but same general concept. Let's close this tab out and go back to our home page. So this will conclude our tutorial for the Employee Web Services dashboard for Web Punch employees. Thank you for watching today's Novatime University Learning Library on the Employee Web Services dashboard for the Web Punch style employee.